Hey everybody, Brian Trout coming to you from Mossy Creek Fly Fishing with your fly fishing forecast. The date for today is Monday, the 1st of July. So it's been a while since I've been here. Been on the water guiding, mostly for smallmouth, but a lot of trout trips as well for the last couple of months. So it's good to be back in here for a quick break, but I'll be back out on the water again. So I want to start off by thanking everybody that came out in Norfolk this weekend. We took the fly truck mobile fly shop down there to Hampton Roads to Elation Brewery to revisit after a great stop last year, and great seeing everybody from Project Healing Waters, Legends of the Fly, Coastal Virginia Fly Anglers. So I want to just say thank you and be on the lookout for the truck. The truck is on the move, so I'm going to be on the water pretty much every day of the week, and then just about every other weekend going to be hopping in and taking the fly truck somewhere. So in a little bit less than 2 weeks, we're heading up to Alexandria. So for all those of you who are up in Northern Virginia, this is our opportunity to bring our shop to you. If you've been driving to us for 20 years or shopping with us online and coming all this way, this is an opportunity for us to come up and say thank you and bring you some stuff to check out. And if you need respool and reels, try on some waders, all that stuff, we'll have it all there for you. If you got a friend or a family member who's always wanted to fly cast, bring them out to Aslin, and we are teaching free fly casting while we're there all day. So we'll have rods strung up. You can grab a beer and just get out there and work on your cast a little bit. So we'll be in Richmond later on this month as well. So go to the website, check out the schedule, follow us on social media, and you'll see where that truck's going. So let's get to the fishing. Been on the river a lot. Smallmouth bass fishing is phenomenal right now. It's always great in June and July. We're a little bit low. We are not in the extreme drought that we were in last summer. Last summer was pretty tough, pretty low. Spooky fish, hard to get the boat down certain stretches of river. But just remember, we've got 50 miles of water that we guide on just on the Shenandoah, and then we've got a lot on the James as well. So what you do is you figure out these floats, you figure out which ones are a little bit more of a struggle to get down in lower water, and you just kind of eliminate those until we get these storms. Speaking of storms, went a lot, but we had over a half an inch of rain in the last 3 to 4 days from storms. And if you look at the 10-day forecast, unlike June, each day where it's going to get up in the 80s, we're going to have a really good chance for storms and showers basically for the next 10 days, starting 4th of July and then forward. So that's good. Now, these are always tough. They're isolated. Folks are constantly coming in and calling saying, where can I go? Where can I go to trout fish? Where can I go to bass fish? One drainage one night could get 1.5 inches of rain in one of these storms. And then 2 miles away, you could get 1/10 of an inch. So that's when you call us or stop by or email us, and we will do our best to get you good up-to-the-minute information. So back to the Shenandoah River. It was about to hit base flow last week, which is where we spent pretty much the whole spring and summer and fall last year. But right before it got to base flow, we started getting some rains, and so it's hovering around 200 on the Linwood gauge, 320 on the Luray gauge. And what that does is when that river gets smaller, all of the fish get stacked in closer together. And when we have lots and lots of skinny water, the bait and the minnows, which have been just getting annihilated and eaten for the last 2 months, they have a little bit of refuge. So the stargrass hasn't grown up yet. It's starting to grow, but usually it's mid to late July where that stuff is really bloomed up and the bait can go in there and hide. And when that happens, the bass have to work a little harder to eat, right? They've got to switch over and eat damselflies. They got to chase bait along the perimeters. But having a low river is almost the same because the bait is now sitting in water this deep that the bass struggle to get into or can't even get into at all. So, excuse me, over the last week or two since the river finally dropped, it's gotten really, really good. The fish are chasing streamers like crazy. They're working hard for their food. They're eating damselflies, so cork bugs have been working great. The river is covered with damselflies and dragonflies. First dog day cicadas of the year started sounding off in the last week or two, so they're showing up. So it's all good. Everything's good. Uncle swimming frogs are working well. When you're in slow, what we call pace water, that slow moving, steady water, top water is really, really good, especially in the warmer hours of the day. As it warms up a little bit, you'll start to see more bugs. You'll start to see more fish jumping. Remember, these smallmouth like warm, okay? That's why we catch them in the 4 warmest months out of the year. And that's also why the fishing is better typically, depending on some variables, but typically at 2 o'clock than it is at 8 o'clock, all right? 8 in the morning. Deeper water, tails of riffles, that's when you want to fish some heavier flies and get down. Crayfish are coming out, they're molting, so they're active. Hellgrammites, I saw the first Dobson fly eggs pasted all over the place in the last week or two, which means Hellgrammites are coming up out of the bottom, out of those rocks, and hatching into the Dobson flies. So when the Hellgrammites come out from under the rocks, they get eaten like crazy. One of the smallmouth's favorite foods, okay? The largemouth bass bite has been awesome as well. Those big Florida strain largemouth have been chewing. They're in slower, typically slower, deeper water along the river, and they hold tight to the wood, okay? So really close. So if you're flying by in a kayak at 5 miles an hour and take one shot here and one there, you may not catch any of these largemouth, but if you can get in and really, really be patient and work, there are monsters to be caught. So we have quit fishing for muskie because the water's low and warm, and we don't want to stress them out by fighting them too much. Carp fishing's awesome because when it gets low and clear, those carp are up in 2-3 feet of water, which is where you want them to sight fish for them. So little near enough sculpins, little baby clawdads, that's the way to hook into one of those monster carp, which are all over the river. So anyway, get out there, get on the river. It's quite good. Pick your battles, all right? There's some floats that are a little tougher where you may have to get out and drag a little bit. And then there's some floats that are much deeper. Obviously our Moravias, we take about 1.5 inches of water. That's all we need to get down. So my boat, it's like an old horse. It knows the way down. So if you see me out there, just follow me down the river. So the bass fishing should be good and stay good. If we get little bumps of rain over the next week, that'll help. Bumping it a little bit will help. And then having that stargrass grow up will really, really help too. So get out there and enjoy the smallmouth bass fishing. As far as trout fishing goes, Mossy has been awesome. That newly restored stretch is great. It's a little challenging to fish, but for those who have figured it out and kind of cracked the code, it's really good. Most of our mayflies are gone, with the exception of the tricos. Those will be around all the way through the summer, all the way into the fall. So use those tricos to get those fish up. The tricos are hitting at like 10 o'clock in the morning. So it's a very civilized hour. You can get out there, and even if you don't want to fish 6 and 7X and fish size 20s, that's okay. Use those trico spinners to get the fish up and on rhythm, and then feed them a nice big size 14 or 16 ant. Throw them a nice beetle. Speaking of beetles, the beetles are here. All right, it is beetle mania, and they are all over. Every type of beetle, Japanese beetles, beetles I don't even know the names of, emerald green beetles. They are covering those multiflora rose bushes all along the banks, and the fish are really, really keyed in on them. This is one of the most fun times of year to fish these spring creeks, Beaver Creek, Mossy Creek, down on Buffalo Creek. The beetle fishing is awesome because you just get to break all of the rules of dry fly fishing, right? You get to hit the water a little bit harder. In fact, that sound, that plop, that's what triggers them to the fly to eat, okay? You can twitch them, you can wiggle them, because that's what terrestrial bugs do when they hit the water. They struggle, they swim. Grasshoppers are fantastic swimmers. They actually book it to the bank really quickly. So just keep all that stuff in mind. For people who struggle with Mossy, cracking the codes of the hatches and getting perfect drifts and stuff, this is the time of year. From now right through the fall, if it's a hot day, if it's going to be an 80 or 90 degree day and you don't want to be out in those fields, in the middle of the day, go and fish it for the first 3 or 4 hours of the morning, all right? And then once it heats up, beat feet down to the Shenandoah, all right? And get out and wade waist high in the river. The river water temperatures are awesome. It'll cool you right off. So the spring creeks are fishing really, really well. Also the tailwaters, you can always go and fish the Jackson, the Smith River. Those are always going to stay nice and cool, and the water flows are controlled and kind of a known thing. So you can head over there, and you have miles and miles of river on the Jackson. You can sprout and fish. As far as the mountains go, I don't know if you all saw, we posted this week, Park decided they were going to close down again. We are trying to get answers on when they open, when they close, like kind of when they're going to do it. Last year we really understood it. It was one of the lowest, and the water levels were some of the lowest. The drought was one of the worst droughts we've been in about 20 years. So we're trying to figure out kind of what's going to happen. I mean, if we get lots of rain, do they open up right away? Do they stay closed? We'll keep you all up to date on that, and let you know as soon as we know. Obviously, there's 1,000 miles of brook trout water outside of the park, but it is tough to fish this time of year. You really, really have to play it smart. Take your stream thermometer, take your long leaders. If the brook trout fishing, if you get up there and the water is really, really low, all you're going to do is just scare fish. All right, you're going to scare fish. Then you're going to have to walk 100 yards to get to the next pool, and you're going to take one false cast over it, and they're going to scatter again. Okay, so you really, really do want to wait for rain. And kind of like I mentioned before, that can be a bit difficult, right? Even living here, when we get these big storms that come across, it takes us a day or two to figure out like which drainages really got substantial soaking rains and which ones just got a glancing blow. So be in touch with us. Let us know. We'll help you out with that. But all it takes for some of these small creeks is 2 or 3 really good rainstorms back to back, and they bump right back up. And then the fish all of a sudden have food, cover, and oxygen, everything they need to eat. And remember, brook trout are little survivors. So if they get a good midsummer bump that's really good and sustains for a week or so, they are going to take advantage of it. They're going to come out and eat everything that hits the water, because they've got to maintain their weight or even grow themselves so that they're ready for the fall, and they're ready for spawn, and they're ready for winter. So just be in touch. We'll try our best to keep you guys up to date, because like I said, the weather forecasting is really spotty. It's pretty unusual this time of year for the whole valley to just get 2 inches of rain. But it is normal for some of these thunderstorms to provide that. So we'll keep you up to date. Keep an eye out on the fly truck. If you need spots to go fish, smallmouth bass, a lot of smallmouth bass guys have been coming in, want to get into smallmouth bass fishing, don't have a craft, don't have a boat. There's lots of wading opportunities at this water level. And it's not just the Shenandoah, it's the tributaries. Some of the great streams over in the Piedmont side that I grew up fishing, the rockfish, the Thai, places like that. There's lots of the Rapidan. There's lots of great places to go fish for warm water species as well. We can help you out with all that. So, all right, until next time, don't know when I'll see you guys next, but somebody will be back with you guys next Monday. Have a wonderful, wonderful Independence Day and 4th of July weekend. Thanks.